Hi, I'm JP Ramirez. I'm excited to share with you Fallout Last Stand, a short film I've been working on. A lot of you guys have stories you want to tell, aren't filmmakers, or like, I don't have money to do this, I don't have time to do this, I don't have skills to do this. We want to show what it took for us to do this thing because, up to an hour before pressing record onto the camera, I was still kind of hesitant and unprepared. All of us get to those points, and we just want to reveal everything that happened and just, encourage you guys, We're going to be releasing a lot of featurettes, and here we're just going to talk about a lot of what went into making Fallout Last Stand. You guys can do this too, and this is how we did ours. Action! You might think that I'm like a huge Fallout fan, which is true, but I wasn't always. I was very against ever wanting to play Fallout. Since Fallout 3 came out, I remember the trailers, I was like, this is one of the ugliest looking games I've ever seen. Why is everything green and black? I didn't even like the power armor. This is just a fat-faced armor that it's kind of cool, I guess. But then in college, I finally got a chance to play it. It was like a Christmas break or something. I wouldn't say I was immediately hooked, but Fallout 3 has a very good story. And I was like, oh, okay, Liam Neeson's my dad in this game. The vault that you start out with isn't this ugly green thing that you see in all the trailers. So then I just got really into it. First 2 hours a day, then it'd be like 10, crazy amount of hours per day. Because it was like, it's vacation, I can do whatever I want. It got kind of too bad, and then a bunch of my friends had an intervention, I think around the time New Vegas came out. And they're like, you're playing this 2 game too much. And I was like, wait, oh yeah, I guess you're right. Because, you'd stay up really late, and then you'd go walk to Taco Bell or something at 3 a.m. And then a lot of times when I walk there, you just like imagine you were seeing things from the game come out. It's like, I've been an editor for like years. And if you're up editing till like 9 a.m., you start hallucinating and things. Like you'd be editing and all of a sudden you'd see a hand on your desk. It's like, oh, what's that? Oh, it's my hand. So like I would see all these things walking to Target, walking to Taco Bell, walking to AM, PM. And I was like, oh yeah, these guys are right. I'm playing too much. And I wanted to be more than just a consumer of Fallout. It'd be better to create something and kind of give back. So for me and my family, I work with my brothers. It just came natural for us to make a Fallout fan film, short film. Action! So like you weaken him a little bit, you go for the choke.
Okay. I was gonna just like push it on that way.
Action! So then I decided to make a film. The story in the film could be just something that happened from a hero side quest, So I wanted it to just not be super epic. Originally, I wrote it like that, like there was going to be like rocket launchers and all this like massive fight scenes and things. And I was like, wait, I got to pay for this. Back in film school, we would do a lot of films that were silent, like no speaking, so communicate things without audibly communicating things. So that's like, okay, maybe that can be the gimmick for this film. And anytime we hear a voice, it's really a voiceover or something recorded. So what blends in with that? A mute character. It's like, okay, we'll have them have a chest plate, because one of the coolest things in Fallout is hearing every holotape that you find. It's like, okay, let's just have the backstory told in a holotape. So there were little things like that. I'd be inspired by a lot of stuff I saw when like DeviantArt was still a thing. There's this image called The Fallout or something like that. It's not related to the game. It's this guy in like a man in an iron mask kind of thing. And he has what me and my brothers just like jokingly call a Megatron thing. Because when Megatron comes back and he has like a tarp thing on him. And then so that inspired a lot of the wardrobe, backgrounds, compositions, music even. All that kind of just blended together, and it's like, okay, I gotta create this thing. At the time, we were working at a job that kind of demanded too much of our time. So it's like, okay, now's the time that money's coming in to like, I can finally start writing and finally finish a script, because up to this point, I never finished a script before. We had screenwriting classes and stuff, and I failed one, or I think. I was supposed to do a Family Guy script and something else, and that never got past like 9 pages. So I finally like got down, finally finished the script, and I was pretty happy about that. And one of the main reasons I wanted to do a Fallout film was not just because I love the universe, but because I've always been a fan of practical effects. At this time, I was watching a lot of Stan Winston's School of Character Arts on YouTube, bought a few of the courses, tried to make my own Pokemon for another show we were going to do called Pokechef, where a guy hunts down and cooks Pokemon. I spent way too much money on that side project just to get nowhere, because it's like, wait, I did everything wrong. And I spent all this money, let's just do a different project. So now for this one, I was like, okay, I'll watch these tutorials, kind of understand it, but I shouldn't do it myself, even though I know how to now, sort of. Let me just hire a guy. So a friend of mine did a zombie film, recommended a makeup effects guy, and I was like, oh great, I can finally work on this kind of stuff. And for that, I didn't want to make a big creature, like it'd be nice to do a Deathclaw or something, but I wanted to stay humanoid. So I met with Robert Vargas of Vargas Studios, locally in Fresno, and he's done a lot of great work, and I explained the project and he's like, oh, totally up my alley. Showed him some references I had, because Immortal masks, I think they're called, they do silicone masks that you can just bring on, take off, and they have eye holes already. Really good stuff that's already pre-made. But the problem is also it's pre-made, and it's like I wanted nobody else to have the mask that these were using. Plus I wanted to support Rob, and I know he does good work. I've never worked with a designer to do stuff, so I would just kind of sketch stuff out for him, give him some reference materials, and then he'd kind of do his thing. Show me the sculpt. I would get in there and kind of destroyed some stuff he did. It's like, no, I'm thinking more like this. I knew I was going to do makeup effects, cut makeup and stuff. So I bought, for those of you who know what Tinsley transfers are, but you just stick them in water, stick them on your face, and then they stick on, and then you can sort of blend the edges with your finger. And we're going to be shooting in the summer, so it's going to be like at 105 to 115. So it's going to be really hot. And I was like, okay, let me wear my face full of these for like a day just to see what the actors are going to feel like. So I had cuts, I had bruises, and some blood on my face. So I was wearing that, scouting all these like desert locations. And it looked really good, but it was in the middle of a fenced off field, so I was just there on the fence looking. And then a cop was on the opposite side of the fence, just minding his own business. And then my brother Antonio, who was helping, meets us. We talked for a very little bit, looked at the cop, and then he drove away as fast as he could because he had to go somewhere. So obviously the cop would find it suspicious. So he goes around, cuts me off as I'm trying to get back on the main road, and he gets out of his car, and stupidly I get out of my car too, face all bloody looking. He just saw me drop off something with my brother, could have been drugs or whatever. And then he goes and reaches for his gun, doesn't pull it out, but he's like, yo, bro, get back in the car, Luckily he didn't look in the car because there was, I think, fake weapons and things in there. So I get back in the car and he's just like, what the heck were you doing? Why were you meeting as driver here? You know what kind of stuff happens here? And then so I explained the whole thing, explained the film, and then he's just like looking at us more and more like we're idiots. He's like, okay, just tell me it's a short film or a student project. And anytime a cop stops you, just tell him it's a student project. I don't really care. And then he leaves, and then so now if you guys get stopped by the cops and you look young enough, just tell people it's for student projects. I know a lot of what makes something look good is the location. And being in California, there's a lot of really good ghost towns around. We're from like Central Valley, Fresno, so it's a couple hours drive to any of them. We found some really good places, and then when we call them, it's like, yeah, to shoot per day, it's like, $3,000. And it's like, yeah, we're not gonna do that. And I was just getting driven crazy. I was like, I need to find someplace. Which is funny because we ended up finding a place that was like 3 miles from our house. It was a whole mess to try to find out who even owned that land. I thought a hunter did, but he's like, no, I'm just hunting pigeons here. I had to go to the county to find records to who owned the land or taxes, all this crazy stuff, and then found her daughter from a random conversation I had with a person. And she was never there when I knocked on the door, or maybe she didn't want to answer. So I would just leave scripts at her house. And they're like, hey, call me back after you read this. I want to use your house. Probably left like 5-6 scripts there. And then finally they got back to me, and then we were able to use it. So then we had our location. So there was a lot of stuff that had to get cleared. Like there were almost perfectly clean skeletons of like small rodents or like dogs that, coyotes went in there and eat stuff, but there was random glass, all this stuff. So that had to be cleared up. My brother Antonio and his friends took a weekend just to do that, And one of them found their friend from high school's ID card. And I was like, wait, he goes to school in Reedley, which is, like 10 miles away. What's this doing in Sanger? I know he doesn't live in Sanger. So he calls up his friend. He's like, oh, bro, we used to do drugs in that house. Oh, yeah, I guess I left it there one day. So we sort of had a connection with the house. So after we found location, we were looking for cast. And I had some sense of what I wanted, relative ages and all this stuff. So I put something out on LA Casting or one of those sites. I don't even know which ones they are. The guy we went with, his name's Daniel. He's actually an underwear model, like almost only just underwear model. I think he's done some soap opera work and like random films. He was Zap Brannigan in like a Futurama fan film or something. And he happens to be the guy on the cover of one of the Modern Warfare games. For the girl, I actually couldn't find anybody. We ended up doing a local casting call in Fresno. Had a very good showing, so I chose Erica. So she had a very strong audition. And then for the kids was kind of funny because I put out the casting call for Scamps, which is his name. You don't hear in the film, but Scamps. He was my favorite, like, to write, because it was like, oh, I know if he didn't work, then the whole film didn't work. So then when Max did his audition, it was like, okay, this is perfect. Got to know his mom, who find out she does a lot of props and stuff. So I was like, okay, I'll have you do some props and wardrobe. So we're coming near to production, and we cut it really tight, and I haven't even seen the ghouls yet. So my brother Antonio and I, we were kind of like leading this whole project. And we have this group, me, Antonio, my friend Jason, and his brothers and his cousin. We all are big fans of One Piece, meet once a year, get all together, maybe save like 40 episodes, watch them over a weekend, eat a bunch of junk food, and, you know, regret everything. We even made a custom One Piece Monopoly that I have hanging here in our office. We were telling them about Fallout, and they're like, oh man, this sounds so cool, let us do it. So then we're like, okay, you guys are the ghouls. And then we had a lot of cool behind the scenes of them, like showing them put on the mask for the first time, practice their ghoul runs and stuff, which we totally abandoned in the film. We changed it all. You know, trying on armor and all this stuff. This film was basically made by our One Piece crew, kind of. We got behind the scenes featurettes for all this kind of stuff, the wardrobe, the characters, the ghouls, effects, all this stuff. I don't want to get too bogged down by that, but fast forward to production when we're actually ready. Everything was ready, I think, except me, because I was writing, directing, producing, shooting, and I was like, oh dang, it's tomorrow. And I don't have any storyboards ready whatsoever. So I started panicking because I was like, yeah. I asked my friend Orlando, who's a very good filmmaker, and he's like, yeah, I'd love to shoot this film. It's kind of up my alley. So I was like, okay, dang, Orlando, I'm gonna have to depend on you a lot. So then we start filming, and we're doing all of Daniel, the main character, his scenes first, and you know, it's going smoothly. And then it's time for the ghouls to show up. And they show up, you know, Rob's working on their hands, doing the final paint on their hands, put the masks on, and then everyone just like starts going crazy. Like, we stop production in the middle of it, and then everyone has like an impromptu photo shoot with all the ghouls. Enrique Meza, Meza Films in Fresno, he provided a lot of lights and generator for free. He also did some set photography for us, but everyone was just like blown away by the ghouls. Rob had a few tricks to make them look nice. Like, he Vaselined them all up so they kind of look like sweaty and things. Well, I realized how everyone was geeking out about that. I was like, dang, we gotta start shooting. So even though I didn't have a shot list and I only had a few things in mind, we got through shooting, you know, the first few days. Mainly we were able to do that because my brother and his girlfriend at the time were our caterers, and he like loves cooking, so I just told him make food for us, and then he took care of that. And we also knew it was going to be incredibly hot, so we hired a local guy who had an RV because we needed AC. So yeah, we hired a guy, Larry Prieto. You know, he's just a retired guy who goes around doing stuff in his RV. And you know, he was really big into the filming stuff, so he's like, oh yeah, I'll come by. Everything was going semi-smoothly, but one big thing we didn't realize was the ghouls themselves. I purposely told Rob to make latex masks. I didn't want actual prosthetics on their face because I wanted to, if they were overheating or something, we just literally rip it off and then they cool down. But one problem is that I overestimated the heat because these guys were also wearing black Under Armour long sleeve things, and then all the armor on top of that, which was also black. So their body was heating up, but then they were just like drenched in sweat. So we would have to periodically stop and have someone with a squeegee bottle literally squeegeeing onto the mask because through the latex it would cool. We had camelbacks that we had to keep feeding them water, and then like they had to periodically go in and out of the AC in the RV because man, they were like dying out there. I'll see if I can find some footage because we have a footage of like Ben, the smaller ghoul, before shooting, and then like after a few scenes, and he just looks like he just wants to die. Also, he's a blind character, like he can't see out of his eyes. We had to do some tricks to make sure, like have a spotter to make sure he didn't run too far or veer off course. So that was one big thing that we learned, you know, for the next project. And also their hands, like they were sweating a lot, and I don't know if their sweat was more corrosive or not. We were using Pax paint, and then these nails from, we were sponsored by Dental Distortions. They do movie teeth and nails, and then so they give us some free nails. But their skin was just eating through all the paint. So the next day, you know, Rob being as resourceful as he is, he just had cotton gloves, put some texture on them, painted those. So literally all they got to do is put on a glove that has the nails already stuck on there, and then we can easily take them on and off to also prevent overheating of the hands. So Rob was really quick to, you know, fix any problems on set or come up with something out of nowhere like he did with the gloves. What if you're doing that and then he goes like this to you?
And because in a way it makes sense I'm coming down here because I'm gonna protect him anyways because I don't have a gun. right? So I'm gonna fight these ghouls off.
And action! So yeah, we finished production, you know, incredibly grateful to everybody. And then we were originally supposed to have it edited for the release of the Fallout 4 game. You know, what was that, like 7 years ago or something? But because of that job we had that just took up way too much of our time, and just other things happening, we just missed that deadline and we're like, okay, we'll finish this sometime. And then years and years passed and it was just like, oh yeah, we should get back on this and stuff. And then, you know, just nothing happens with it. I mean, one of the main reasons why I didn't finish it is I'm always reminded of this quote. I think it was David Fincher, where he's like, oh, I love making a film until we get to production. Because production is when you find out you can't do anything that you wanted to do. It's like, oh, all these limitations that never exist in pre-production, because, you know, every film is perfect in pre-production. So yeah, there was a lot of things I got really mad at. Like, it's like, wait, I couldn't do this, I couldn't do that. It didn't look exactly like what I imagined. So I was just like kind of a little jaded by all that. And I was like, we missed the deadline. Why would I release this? You know, I don't like a lot of it, or I don't like some stuff about it. So then like that also, you know, put me off from like doing the editing, because I was the main editor. Eventually I ended up hiring another guy, Danny Cameron, a really good editor, to basically, you know, get a picture lock for us, because I just knew I wasn't able to do it. So yeah, and finishing this film has been great. Like, I got to meet some new people, like our composer Micah, recommendation from Enrique Meza. Working with him, you know, the back and forth, talking about different tones and shifts and emotion of the scene was really cool. Since he doesn't really want to talk technical, he's like, okay, tell me what you want people to feel. You know, him giving me like everything I want. And then we kept the visual effects in-house, just because my brother Alex does a lot of that. We're all four brothers and we work together, so as much as we can keep it in-house, you know, it just makes it seem like we own more of the film, like more ownership, so more pride in the film. And doing everything we can to release it around the time of the Amazon Fallout show, because it's like way more perfect of a time than it would have been if we released it during Fallout 4. And I just wanted to record this video, let you guys know, because we are going to be putting out the film. We are going to be putting out a lot of behind the scenes content. We want to give back to the Fallout community, whether you're just interested in the Amazon show and found us here, whether you're a lifelong fan that's been playing since Fallout 1, you know, that knows all about Van Buren and all the random Fallout stuff that, you know, never happened. I set out originally for this to be the best Fallout film that was out there. Something that was different than all the other ones, that didn't just bank on, you know, cool action scenes with guns and things. We made a very good film, and I'm just like, as part of a Fallout community, if that's what you're part of, I'm hoping that you guys will enjoy this. I know we got more ideas that are based off video games. I know there's a lot of stuff I want to do. You'll find all that stuff on this channel. One time it might be a doc, one time it might be a short film, but yeah, just keep watching and then we'll keep putting stuff out. Action! Keys!
That was Fallout.